Remember the feeling of Christmas morning from years past, when the excitement of unwrapping a new video game was the highlight of the holiday? For many of us, that feeling of gaming on those old consoles really made the holidays come alive. And today, we're going to take a trip back to that magic. We're not just talking about Christmas-themed games, but the ones that made our holidays special. The titles we played during the cold of winter break, the ones that still summon the scent of pine needles and sugar cookies. In this video, we'll journey from the Sega Saturn all the way back to the DOS era, unpacking the memories, the music, and the moments that made these games a special part of our holiday memories. And I'll show you why for some of these, the Christmas connection runs deeper than you might think. So grab a cup of eggnog and stick around at the very end in this retro gaming boss look back at why old Christmas games hit so different. Let's start with one of the most direct holiday experiences in retro gaming, the Christmas edition of Nights into Dreams. This wasn't just a standard game with a festive coat of paint. Released as a promotional disc for the Sega Saturn during the holiday season in 1996, it transformed the surreal, dreamlike world of Nights into a winter wonderland. The levels were draped in snow, the music was switched out with sleigh bell remixes, and even the iconic Nights character wore a Santa hat. But here's what made it special. For many Saturn owners, this disc was a real holiday surprise that was bundled with game magazines or given away as a seasonal promo. It was a piece of gaming history and an unexpected holiday gift. Thanks, Sega. Playing it wasn't just about high scores. It was about experiencing a familiar game in a completely new but temporary way, kind of like the holidays themselves. The Saturn's hardware somehow made this winter version feel even more dreamlike, with its vibrant colors and smooth 3D models cutting through the chill of the holiday season. If you ever owned this disc, you know it wasn't just a game. It was a holiday event, and worth playing again each year. Now let's shift from the festive fantasy to the gritty, snow-blanketed streets with Batman Returns. While this wasn't explicitly a Christmas game, its setting, Gotham City during a snowy holiday season, made it a perennial December playthrough for many. The opening cinematic, with its moody animation and haunting music, set the tone. This is a dark, cold, and visually striking experience. The Sega CD version featured a number of cutscene animations featuring original artwork, giving us a more cinematic experience. And the gameplay itself featured two parts. The first is a side-scrolling beat-em-up, almost identical to the Sega Genesis cartridge version, and to be quite honest, was pretty average in all regards. The second part, however, was really epic and made this game a treat. The driving levels, where you control the awesome Batmobile and the Bat Jet boat, looked amazing and were just an incredible showcase of the Sega CD's capabilities, including its hardware scaling and rotation of sprites. I mean, this game almost looked like it was running on Sega's Super Scaler hardware, seen in the popular arcade games like Afterburner 2 and Space Harrier. And let's talk about the soundtrack. Those CD-quality tracks, with their orchestral sounds and dark guitar riffs, somehow felt perfect during those dark winter nights. This game embodies a specific kind of holiday memory, not of festivities, but of atmosphere and immersion. A time when games could transport you completely, even to a place as bleak as the snowbound Gotham. Stepping further back to 1985, we find a game that many first encountered during the holidays. The original Bard's Tale 1, Tales of the Unknown, on the PC. Yeah, I know, this wasn't a Christmas game per se, but the game's final boss, the evil archmage Mengar, did cast an eternal winter spell over the game's town of Skara Brae, which is kind of fitting. This is an old-school hybrid visual and text-based first-person role-playing game. Was a common holiday gift for early PC gamers. Why? because it was a deep, complex RPG that offered dozens of hours of adventure, perfect to keep you engrossed throughout the winter break. The gameplay emphasized building a party of adventurers and exploring every nook and cranny of the city and the numerous dungeons within it, which often required making detailed maps to navigate, all while solving puzzles, defeating the monstrous inhabitants, avoiding deadly traps, and finding powerful loot. It really was the perfect recipe for a dungeon-crawling adventure. And I remember spending Christmas afternoon creating my party, naming each of the characters after friends, and then getting them all wiped out in the very first dungeon. But that was part of the charm. The game demanded patience, strategy, and imagination. And by that I mean, when the rudimentary graphics stop, your creativity fills in the gaps where you see the action of each battle playing out in your mind's eye. This was always such a fun way to fill that unstructured holiday downtime. And the in-game music was actually just simple PC speaker tunes that became the background soundtrack to Christmas evenings in my household. For many, The Bard's Tale represents the gift of time, the luxury to lose yourself in a sprawling fantasy where the real world was put on pause. And for me, it's become a bit of a tradition to speedrun through all the dungeons during the holidays, and it's always fun to fight through the hordes of the berserkers. Yes, I'm talking about that epic battle in Harkon's Castle, where your meager party of 6 squares off against a total of 396 bloodthirsty enemies in a single fight. Games from the 80s like this didn't mess around, jeez. This is just one of those comfort games that even today almost feels like a form of muscle memory when navigating the labyrinthine streets and alleys of Skara Brae each year when I play through it again. If you're interested, I've put a link in the description to the freeware version of this game that you can try out yourself. I hope you like RPG grinding. Merry Christmas. And next we have two Genesis titles that defined holiday gaming for different reasons. Altered Beast and Phantasy Star 2. Altered Beast was a pack-in game for the Genesis in many regions, meaning it was the first experience for countless kids who unwrapped the console on Christmas morning. Its iconic "Rise from your grave" line, the gruff voice samples, and the intense transformation sequences were shocking and new in 1989.
Power up!
Welcome to your doom.
And while this game wasn't just played during the holidays, it was the holiday, the proof that the next generation gaming hardware had arrived under your tree. Now in contrast, Phantasy Star 2, released the same year, was the deep, thoughtful gift. The RPG you begged for after having played the brilliant 8-bit original on the Master System. Its sci-fi setting, huge world, storyline, and characters were light years away from the arcade simplicity of Altered Beast. Playing it during the holidays meant committing to a journey, following a plotline that felt so futuristic and novel for the time, and grappling with a difficulty level that required real dedication. I mean, some of those dungeons are just brutal to get through. So together, these two Genesis games represent the best of holiday gaming, the instant, spectacular thrill, and the long, satisfying investment. And both were made possible by the Genesis's raw power, which felt like a leap into the future during those winter months. I remember how much I enjoyed some all-night gameplay sessions with my friend, how we explored these worlds together and being utterly blown away by the power of 16-bit gaming. Good times. And finally, let's talk about something truly obscure. Jingle Disc, a Christmas-themed program for DOS PCs from the 80s. This wasn't actually a game in the traditional sense, it was a stocking stuffer for the computer geek in 1986. A fun little collection of holiday animations, music, and simple interactive scenes. I mean, you could even print a simple holiday greeting card on a dot matrix printer using these images. Remember those? How cool is that? I don't know, maybe I was just too easily entertained as a kid. And for the little ones back in the day, finding Jingle Disc under the tree on Christmas morning was the discovery of a feel-good digital present. It had pixel art Santa, mice, and a cat that scrolled by as carols played through the tinny PC speakers. But its magic was in its simplicity. In an era before the internet, this kind of festive software felt special. A temporary modification of your computer into a holiday fun machine. It was the precursor to desktop themes and seasonal downloads available today, and for many, it's a memory that blends perfectly with the smell of the Christmas tree, hot chocolate, and candy canes. Jingle Disc represents the grassroots, homemade side of holiday gaming and the innocent joy of finding something small, unexpected, and full of good cheer. So go grab yourself another glass of eggnog and enjoy firing this one up. I've even put a link in the description for the abandonware version for you to try out. So what ties these games together? It's not just that they were played during Christmas time, it's they each capture a facet of the holiday experience. Knight's Christmas Edition is about transformation, taking something familiar and making it magical. Batman Returns is about atmosphere, immersing you in a comic book world. The Bard's Tale is about the gift of time and depth. The Genesis duo represents the shock of what's new and the promise of future adventures. And Jingle Disc, it's the small, personal surprise that really gives you the feels of the season. These experiences are time capsules of not just retro graphics and gameplay, but the memories of our lives, the excitement of a new console, the enjoyment of winter break, and the unforgettable wonder of a snow-filled night spent glued to the screen. They remind us that gaming at its best isn't just about escapism, it's about marking time and building traditions with your loved ones. So if you've made it this far, you probably have your own version of these memories, or a different game that always brings you back to a specific holiday, a soundtrack that sends a shiver down your spine, or a difficulty spike that ruins your Christmas afternoon, in the very best possible way. That's the power of retro gaming. It intertwines with our lives in ways we didn't even realize until years later. I'd love to hear your stories in the comments. What games define the holidays for you? And if you're feeling inspired, maybe dig out that old console or fire up an emulator this holiday season. Not to recapture the past, but to remember the person you were when that screen first glowed. Thanks for joining me on this nostalgic journey. I want to wish you and your family a very happy holidays and a great end to 2025. I can't even begin to tell you how much I appreciate you supporting my channel and liking my videos. Alright my friends, this is the Retro Gaming Boss signing out. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.